Oh god, let's talk about Mori. Everybody in the Bungo Stray Dogs fandom sees Mori as like the PDF file character that like all these animes have, you know? And then those people who don't already hate him because of that, because they don't believe it or whatever, they hate him because he was abusive towards their favorite character. Well, guess what? There's so much more to Mori's character than him just being a weirdo and abuser. In my opinion, he's a really well-written character, and I honestly hate when people go, oh, I hate this character because blah blah blah, and they don't even pay attention to other details about the character or try to even understand the character at all. And then on top of that, they'll love another character who's done similar or even worse things than the character they hate. Bungo Stray Dogs is very complex and has very complex characters that take a bit of analyzing and thinking to fully understand. I wish that people would actually take the time to try and understand a character and why they are the way they are before they decide they just hate them. And of course, I'm not defending abuse or PDF philia or anything bad, but I am trying to make the point that people's main focus when they hate characters, like they take one look at characters like Mori and just decide that they're a terrible person and they don't deserve to be liked at all, and that's that. And they don't even try to like fully understand them or anything either. Throughout Bungo Stray Dogs, I see this mainly with Mori, a few other characters too, but that's like for a whole another time. I might do rants about those other characters too, but yeah, we're gonna be talking about Mori because I'm low-key tired of all the mischaracterization that leads the entire Bungo Stray Dogs fandom hating him. I'm going to begin with the reason that 99% of Mori's haters hate him for: Mori being a PDF file. I mean, a lot of animes and mangas do have that one random weirdo character for some reason. I mean, we got Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, Adam from Skate, Marvin from Banana Fish, the list goes on. But I don't think that Mori fits in with this category of characters. What if I told you that Mori isn't actually a weirdo like everyone makes him out to be? Him being like this weirdo PDF file is just a facade. I personally love Mori and will defend him till the day I die, but let's be real here for a second. Ignoring the fact that other characters call him a PDF file and that whole "I prefer women in my life to be under 12" line, has he ever done anything to any actual children? No. Keep in mind that Mori's character is based off of a real person, and well, it would be very disrespectful to make a character based on the real author, a victim of SA by the way, a PDF file character. Like I said, he was never shown or implied to do anything to any children, and actually in Beast, Mori doesn't have any type of PDF file behavior. The Beast universe is the same people, just in different situations and in a different universe. If Mori was a PDF file in the main universe, then wouldn't that mean he would be one in the Beast universe too? I'm going to move on from this topic for now because I'm doing a full Mori analysis. I'm not going to spend this entire video defending him and explaining why he's not one of those weirdo characters. But if you want more about this, I recommend watching the video that Cash is Alive made, because they do a really good job at explaining everything, and it's worth a watch if you still believe that Mori is a weirdo PDF file character. What I can say though is that Mori did in fact abuse quite a few different characters throughout the entire series. Daze and Yosono are two very good examples of this. During the war, Mori used Yosono for her ability and emotionally abused and manipulated her. And then years later, he then tried to get her to let her use her for her ability again. And then Fukuzawa, thank God, was able to take her in and protect her from Mori, but still, not something you should do to kids. And then with Dazai, I feel like this is the most significant character, I guess, that Mori had abused as a child. But with Dazai, Mori took him in when he was 14. He killed the mafia's boss in front of him and used him as a witness so that he could take the boss's job. He was also very emotionally and psychologically abusive towards Dazai, and he'd do things like bribe him with an easy way to commit, or manipulated him into staying loyal to the mafia, and then basically killed Oda, somebody who was very important in Dazai's life, by the way. Mori's effed up. It's also kind of implied that Mori also abused Kyoko when she was in the mafia too. When Kyoko saw Mori when she was out with Atsushi, she started to panic, likely due to the trauma that Mori had caused her through the mafia. Kyusaku is another implied victim of Mori's abuse. I mean, he was forced to be in the mafia when he was a literal child, very, very young, 6 years old. He was used as a weapon, then was kept in isolation because of something he wasn't able to control. And that's in a moment. Now let's talk about Mori's ability, or more specifically, Elise. Elise is a character that is based off of another character in one of the real author Mori's books. Mori is able to change Elise's appearance and personality, and this is shown throughout the entire series. Elise's earliest appearance was during the war, during Yosono's backstory, and Elise is a young adult during this time. But in the current time of Bungo Stray Dogs, Elise is a child. Back to the PDF file topic real quick that I was yapping about earlier. So I've seen some people call Mori a PDF file because of how he acts with Elise. First of all, I just want to point out that Elise isn't actually a child. She has the appearance of a child, but in reality she's much older. Mori is 40 and Elise is his ability, so she's likely around the same age as him. And also remember that Elise isn't a real person. And either way, I don't think that the way Mori treats Elise is weird in any type of way. People just gotta make any adult and minor character interactions seem weird. I see this a lot with Aya and Kunikita too, so just want to point that out real quick. But Elise is likely a representation of Mori's feelings and guilt. Let me explain. As we all know, Mori abused Yosono and Dazai, probably the worst out of all of his abuse victims when they were children. Mori likely feels bad and guilty about abusing these children, and because of this, Elise took the appearance of a young child and has a similar personality to how both Yosono and Dazai acted when they were younger. And back to the abuse topic again, keep in mind that Mori wanted to be a father. Something about Mori's character that I feel like is commonly misunderstood is that he just didn't care about any of the kids that he was abusive towards whatsoever. Remember, Mori is a bad person, but he isn't heartless. Mori did in fact care about them. By the way, just because he was abusive or mistreated or took advantage of them does not mean that he didn't care about them at all. I'm going to use Dazai as my example for this. Mori took Dazai in when he saw that he was suicidal and was struggling with depression, and prevented him from killing himself, helping him after attempts. In the stage play, Mori literally cried when Dazai went to go save Oda, and Mori even took care and checked up on Dazai's physical health. There are many examples shown to us that Mori cared very deeply about Dazai. I personally like to believe that Dazai saw Mori as his father figure, and of course he wasn't the best and was quite a toxic father figure, and Dazai doesn't really like him that much, but Mori still cared for Dazai as a father would for his son, making it to where Dazai saw him as a father figure. This is my personal opinion, by the way. Please don't come after me. Honestly, I'm so curious about Mori's backstory too. Please, Asagiri, drop Mori's backstory. My life is yours. Something that I've noticed about Mori's character is that he seems to be very sad and lonely. But why? When Dazai was younger, Mori also said to Dazai that he reminded him of himself. At this time, Dazai was a suicidal depressed teen and had a very cold personality. I've seen a lot of theories surrounding Mori's backstory, so let's discuss those. I'm going to begin with the previous mafia boss. I wonder if he had any sort of significant role in Mori's life. In the manga, when Mori killed him, he looked a bit more emotional than he usually does. Or is this just me? The abuse web is a interesting concept in Bungo Stray Dogs where the abused becomes abusers, and I don't want to believe that this started with Mori. I've seen theories about the previous mafia boss being abusive towards Mori in some sort of way, so Mori learned that from him, continuing the abuse web, and maybe possibly had that toxic father figure role that Mori kind of does with Dazai. Maybe. Another theory that I've seen about him is that he was likely a victim of SA or PDF-philia. Is this possibly the reason he tries to act as if he's a PDF file? I've seen so many more theories surrounding Mori's backstory, and I'm just genuinely so curious about all of it, and I really hope we get Mori's backstory before Bungo Stray Dogs ends. Now let's talk about the Mori hate. I personally don't think he deserves all the hate that he gets. I mean, yes, I've explained he isn't a good person, but really, who in Bungo Stray Dogs is a good person? other than Oda. And also, he's a very well-written character, and low-key, he can be kind of funny at times. I'm going to compare him to Dazai real quick. So Dazai is just as bad as a person as Mori, if not worse. He's literally been convicted of many terrible crimes, and has even had a scene of him shooting a dead body and laughing. Reminder that Mori is literally the leader of the Port Mafia. Again, a criminal organization. Of course, he's gonna be a terrible person. And Dazai was also abusive towards Akutagawa and was implied to be abusive towards Kyusaku. But everybody in the Bungo Stray Dogs fandom loves Dazai. Dazai and Akutagawa are very much abusers too. So why don't they get the same type of hate that Mori does? But no, when Mori abuses Dazai or Yoshino, he's suddenly the worst character to ever exist. I feel like if Mori's backstory was out, he wouldn't get as much hate as he currently does, because then it could possibly help us understand Mori's character better and help us get a better understanding on why he is the way he is. Like I mentioned before, I will defend Mori until the day I die. I love Mori, not because he abused my favorite character, not because he's a PDF file, but because he's genuinely a really interesting and well-written character. And low-key, like I said, kind of silly sometimes. I don't really understand why certain characters who are bad people get a lot of hate, while others who are also bad people are the favorite throughout the entire fandom. Then again, this is coming from a heavy Mahito glazer, so keep that in mind. And also, of course, I'm not defending abuse or PDF-philia in any way at all by saying this. What I am trying to say is that we should all try to actually fully understand characters before focusing on one detail about them that you don't like and basing your entire view on the character based off of that one detail.